Yes, hello YouTubers. I got sent this video today and about gun control in Canada. It's interesting. I'm not really sure who put it together. I understand it was made by NRA Videos, but who actually put the video together? Um, but it's funny, you know. It's been shaped together. I guess the funny thing for me as a Canadian is the revelation that Canadians don't trust the government. No, we don't. You'll find uh, it really is an interesting dichotomy. Um, America portrays itself as land of the free, home of the brave, and all the rights and freedoms and free to move and all that sort of shit. And but yet you treat your president almost as a deity, like he's a king. And in Canada, you won't find that. Uh, Canadians openly distrust their government, openly. Uh, so, in terms of the gun control, it's a funny thing. There's a couple things at play. The first being is the gun laws have been on the books since like 34, and I think if you talk to most people, most at least, or forget that. My opinion is the problem with guns, the perceived problems with guns, of course, aren't the hunters. Fortunately, the gun registration basically targeted the hunters and the farmers and so forth, because those are the guys with the shotguns and the 30-06 and 22s and so forth that have the guns to go hunting. And but the gun crime, there's not a whole lot of gun crime happening with 22s and 30-06 and shotguns and so forth. In Canada, I believe last year for our country, there were 1,000 gun-related deaths. Most were through suicide and accidental shootings, and a couple hundred, I don't know, 300 or something like that, were homicides. The gun problem isn't. We don't have it here, like it is in the states. That's just a fact. Um, not saying we don't have home invasions or we don't have incidents of crime. Of course we do, but it's nowhere near on the level that it is in the states. But even then, the crime in the states isn't nearly as friggin' bad as the media would have you believe. The big ooga booga, that you have to have a friggin' fortress, an armory to defend against the horde of evildoers domestically. That's a load of crap. Um, I do think, rationally speaking, there's no good reason to allow bullets that are Kevlar piercing. Like, why the fuck are they on the market? Like, what is the purpose of a Kevlar piercing fucking bullet? Honestly, it's obviously to pierce the Kevlar. Who wears Kevlar? The cops wear Kevlar. So, I think that's if you're going to do any kind of reasonable gun control, I think that's where you start. You know, the problem. I don't think it's a real big issue. I have friends here in Winnipeg who go over to Grand Forks and they go to gun shows. And actually, quite several of my friends are into bows, actually, into that kind of hunting. Hunting's huge in Canada. It's huge. Um, but I really, the hysteria attached to the government and the gun control, I think, is a little funny, actually. Um, but yeah, when they go across the Grand Forks and they come back, or if Americans come to Canada, which had been happening for a little while with the when our dollar was low. Now it's kicking American ass, of course. Um, However, when that was the case and Americans were coming over, um, they were kind of thrown a little bit at the border, where the guns have to be declared, Um, you have to fill out, why you're bringing the guns, the purpose of the guns, and so forth. And I think there's a tax, like a temporary license, effectively, for bringing in your firearm. Um, if you wanted to go hunting, I think it's about $35 or something like that. And but I think Americans that would come to Canada to go deer hunting or elk hunting or whatever the case may be. I mean, that's just the cost of doing it. I don't see that as a huge thing. Um, but anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. I mean, gun crime really isn't an issue here. This notion that um, if you don't have guns, then you're all defenseless, and the bad people are going to come and rob you blind, and that just hasn't proven itself out. You know, um, if it bleeds, it leads, and that's the way our media system in North America is built, whether it's print or electronic media, and that keeps the you know um, security systems people in business, the ADTs of the world, and so forth. When I think we all know when it push comes to shove, you can drive yourself mental trying to protect yourself from everything. But at the end of the day, uh, the random violence that can happen when you have absolutely no play in it, you're a pure victim, is so unbelievably rare. It happens. Of course, there are psychos that does exist. That is a part of it. But it's been my experience that most gun-related crimes are beefs involving people doing shit that they shouldn't be doing in the first place, and they get in deep, and the shit flies. So if you're cruising along the straight and narrow, I don't think you really generally have a problem. Now, that'll all change if I guess, it's just, it's a funny one. It is a funny one, but I don't know. I think the bottom line is there shouldn't be. There's really no need for people to have AK-47s and fucking assault weapons and things of that nature. The crime rate in Japan, I mean, that'll be the thing most people say. Canada's population is, a tenth of the states. Well, you're a tenth of fucking Japan, and their gun crime is non-existent. Fucking cops don't even carry guns, for Christ's sakes. So the Ooga Booga factor in terms of this, I don't think it really passes the litmus test much. That's just me. The funny thing for me has always been the anti-government guys, the Montana Mountain Men, and anti-government guys that you'd see on the news in the past. The funny thing with that is it's come full circle, and they now often are far-right Republicans, which is kind of goofy, because America's in danger of losing rights that they hold dear. Gun control, the right to hunt, isn't really a right in your way, But anyway, Vicky, I do appreciate you sending it along. I always like to see vids for what people think of Canada and so forth. So that's always kind of neat. But very good. Take good care, everyone, and keep on rocking in the free world. Cheers.